Hey fam, I am back with another training and I'm so excited for this one. So, we're going to be talking about the long term effects of undereating and how it's destroying your metabolism. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Vic and I'm an online fitness and health coach, and I help women build their body with confidence in and out of the gym without any fad diets. So, let's dive into it. So, first thing I'm going to start out with is a little story about my experience and how this is going to relate to the topic today. So, when I first started out my journey, some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I struggled tremendously with a bad relationship with food, a bad relationship with myself. I always thought the smaller the better, because as I was growing up, that's kind of what I perceived to be true, right? People would be like, you have such a strong build, you look like a gymnast. And I wanted to be skinny. No one ever told me I was skinny. But of course, I just don't have that kind of build. They were right. I'm not going to be a skinny person. But at the time, that was something that really sat with me, and it sat heavy with me because I didn't want to be strong. I didn't want to be built. I wanted to be thin. And you see people on the magazines and they're all thin, right? And that's what I looked up to. And I was a teenager. I didn't know better. So after my cheerleading days, I took up running. And I started over exercising and under eating to a point where I had lost my cycle for 6 months. My body was definitely experiencing some weird hormonal issues on top of the lack of cycle. But also, not only that, I felt like crap. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good over exercising and under eating. It didn't make me feel strong, and it didn't make me feel energized. And I woke up every day like exhausted. My joints hurt, my body hurt, and it was just not a fun way to live my life. And I was like, you know what? This is not sustainable, and this is not going to be sustainable in the long run. So I know that something needs to change. So that's when I got help. And she was like, you are really under eating. You need to start eating more, and you need to start eating more carbs. And at the time, I was terribly afraid of carbs, like awful. I was like, okay, I can't have any carbs, like salads only. And you can imagine how miserable that got too. So reason why I share this with you guys is because it took a long time for me to fix these habits. It didn't happen overnight, right? But not only these habits took a long time to change, but also my metabolism. My metabolism took a huge hit because the more time you spend in a calorie deficit, the more detrimental it's going to be for your metabolism. So, for instance, if you're in a calorie deficit for years and you're yo-yo dieting all the time, you've done a bunch of fad diets, you spend constant time stressing your body out more by putting it in a deficit, you're going to start to burn less and less calories over time because your metabolism is slowing itself down, right? Because you don't have fuel. Your food is the light of your fire. It is the fuel for your fire, right? So without that, your metabolism it's struggling, right? And that's what we want to remember, is that food isn't the enemy. It's actually going to get us to our results a lot quicker than we would like. And that was something I had to learn the hard way because I didn't know that in my teenage years, And once I started eating more and I started incorporating a progressive training plan, I actually saw better results, and I got more comments about how I was looking slim. Not thin, slim. But I felt better. I felt more energized. I felt stronger. And I actually started to appreciate my muscles because they were something that I was like ashamed of when I first started my journey. I had been a cheerleader and a gymnast for so long that I was like, oh, my legs are so big. My arms are so big, but they were strong. And when I started incorporating a strategic workout plan and a strategic nutrition plan, I saw more muscle definition. I looked toned, and toned was really what I wanted to see. And we all know that toned means building muscle and losing body fat, right? That's what toned is, because you can't look toned if you don't have any muscle mass on your body, right? So in order for that to happen, we need to be building muscle, and we need to be eating enough in order to build muscle. And that's the part that gets tricky, right? So I'm going to share with you guys the lessons I learned throughout this so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. So, number one being, no exercise can outwork a bad diet. And I don't just mean the foods you're eating. If you're eating a bunch of junk, of course that's true. But the bad diet, meaning the bad habits, right? The skipping breakfast because I don't want to look fat in my photos. The skipping lunch because I'm not hungry and then waiting until dinner to eat, but then later on binging on cookies and chips because you skipped all your meals, right? It's those habits that make a big difference in your results. It's not just the foods you're eating, it's also the way that you're going about your day and the way that you're developing these habits. You see, like, this is such a big impact, like how we start our day. If we're not starting our day with a high protein breakfast, our metabolism is already taking a hit because we're like dragging through the day. We're trying to find energy from other energy sources, and our body's going to be like, damn, I really wish I had some food right now, right? So number one thing that we can do to change those bad habits is starting our day with a high protein breakfast, right? Easy as that. 30 to 40 grams at breakfast, nice fiber-filled meal, meaning fruits or veggies, potatoes, flaxseed, oats, whatever it is that you enjoy in the morning, to incorporate fiber in your meal, because that's going to help keep you full as well as that high protein, right? So starting your day with that breakfast can make the biggest difference for you. And that could just be the first step in the right direction. That could be the one step you're missing, right? Are you someone who runs to the coffee pot first thing you wake up and doesn't have any food until lunchtime? Are you someone that does that? Because if you are, then the thing you might be missing the most is breakfast, right? So important. So number one thing that we can do to start making some change now. Second lesson that I learned is if you're not eating right, you're not going to see great results. So I hear this a lot, like, I'm eating so healthy, but I can't seem to lose the fat. And I was a big believer in this too. I was like, why aren't I losing weight? Like, I'm literally eating salads every day. But that was why I wasn't losing the fat. And ironically, a lot of people don't understand that is because our nutrition isn't suited towards what we need, right? We're just guessing by eating clean. And we don't want to be guessing when we want to lose fat, because in order to lose fat, you need something that's going to be pretty strategic. You need something that's going to require you to hit certain goals, because if you want a specific goal, if you want a specific outcome, you need a specific plan, right? And that's where tracking your macros comes in handy, because this is going to get you to your goal more efficiently and more strategically. So by that, we could start with, if you've never tracked your food before, first step in the right direction, downloading MyFitnessPal. Start tracking your intake. See how much you're averaging, right? If you're at 1,200 calories a day, let's increase that food, because most people don't need 1,200 calories a day unless you're like 4'8" and you barely exercise, or you're a toddler, because most of my gals can eat a lot more than that. So, including myself, I eat like 220 grams of carbs a day. But we want to be eating, right? Eating is fun. Eating is good. Eating is yummy. Right? So let's start tracking our food, making sure that we're paying attention to our intake and our protein intake, right? Take your body weight, times it by 0.8. That's the minimum amount of protein that I want you to be eating in the day. Okay? So starting with that and just increasing your protein at each meal will help you get to that goal a lot quicker. So eating clean versus eating right are two totally different things. We can't just eat a bunch of vegetables and expect to see results, because those vegetables aren't going to give us muscles. Protein is what's going to help our muscles build. So, and carbs. Now, number 3 lesson is your body is your vessel, right? If you're not taking care of yourself, you're depriving it of the things that you want, it's going to be a hard journey. It is going to be tough to get out of. And I tell you this with experience, because as you guys know from my story, I went through the same thing, right? And I was not treating my body like it was my vessel. I was treating it like it was like, I don't even know. I don't have a good comparison, but I was treating it not good. And that's probably putting it a little too simple. But you have to nourish yourself. You have to sleep. You have to manage your stress. You got to eat. You got to fuel yourself. And you don't have to do a shit ton of cardio, because that is only going to put more stress on your body. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes I made too, was like I was doing extraneous cardio, like running 6 days a week. My body was so tired. It was begging me for a break. I told you guys, like, my joints were hurting. I felt achy all the time. Like, I didn't feel strong. Like, I'd get tired really easily. And like, I was not taking care of my body, not only lacking food and rest, but my body was stressed out, right? If we're not taking those rest days, we're not taking time to recover, our muscles aren't going to be building the way that we want them to be building. They're probably not going to build at all, because in order to see muscle growth happen, we have to have rest times in there as well, right? They have to be priority as well as our workouts. They're almost more important as your workouts. And take that from someone who learned that the hard way. So now taking action on this last lesson, first thing I would start doing is to pay attention to your sleep, right? What time are you going to bed? What time are you waking up in the morning? Are you getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Or are you struggling to get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep? if you are, that's the first thing that you want to start paying attention to, right? Because sleep is going to help your stress levels, right? And if you feel like you're overdoing it with your exercise, you're going to the gym every day and you're not taking any rest days, try and pull back a little bit. Aim for 4 to 5 days rather than 6 to 7 days, right? And just aim for daily walks on the days that you don't go to the gym if you still strive to be active. That's something that I love to do. I like to be active. Even when I don't go to the gym, it makes me happy and it gives me energy. But I don't want to do something extraneous after I just did a super hard lift 3 days in a row. I want to take a rest. So I'll go on a nice leisurely walk and just take some time to myself and, do something that is a little bit more low key than exercising really intensely. So that is my tip for that one. Now, putting these things all together, we really want to take the time to pay attention to our sleep, our stress, our nutrition, and our fitness, right? Those are our 4 pillars of fat loss, right? Of course, there's more detail that we could go into, but we don't want to struggle with those long-term effects of undereating and how it can be destroying to our metabolism. We want to rebuild the metabolism by starting our day with a high-protein breakfast, making sure we're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, not overdoing our exercise, right? These are all metabolism-supporting activities, right? And that is what we're going to do. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I love chatting about this kind of stuff because this is so relatable to what I went through. So I hope it's relatable for you. And I hope that you can get pointed in the right direction after listening to this training. So if you guys want my hourglass blueprint on how to get started on building muscle and losing body fat without a fad diet, comment below and I'll send it to you, or I'll drop it in the comments below. I'll link it for you guys below. So I hope you guys all had a great time listening to this, and I'll see you soon.